to the Speeding Bulletin. My name is Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com, and I've crawled out of my sickbed to bring you all the news that happened during October 29th to November 4th, 2010. Empire magazine published a new interview with Zack Snyder in which he discusses his plans for the new Superman movie. "It's a different story," Snyder said. "I won't say there's a break from the canon or anything like that, but there is definitely an approach that makes you go, okay, that's a way to get at it." Snyder also said it was too early to talk about whether his movie would track Superman's early days, but did say that the internet has no idea what's going on, adding that the rumours of General Zod being the villain of the film are just wrong. MovieWeb.com asked Superman the movie director Richard Donner what he thought of Zack Snyder being chosen to direct the new Superman movie. He said, "I think he could do a great job. You know, he's certainly a good director and hopefully he's got a good handle on it." ComicBookResources.com conducted an interview with comic book writer Mark Waid at last Sunday's Long Beach Comic Con. Amongst other things, they asked him about his thoughts on Superman movies. He said he'd like to see Brandon Routh cast as Superman because "I really thought he nailed it." MTV's Splash Page posted a video interview with director Robert Zemeckis in which he says he turned down directing the new Superman movie faster than a speeding bullet. He said, "When they asked if I wanted to make the, 17th version of Superman, I said, no, I don't think so." Photos from the never-made Superman Lives movie starring Nicolas Cage as Superman have been released by Steve Johnson's FX Facebook page. They show the special effects team working on the strange Superman costume and Nicolas Cage body model planned for that movie. EmpireOnline.com published the second part of the two-part interview they conducted with Tom Mankiewicz earlier this year. Writer-director Tom Mankiewicz passed away in July of complications related to pancreatic cancer. In the interview, he discusses how he approached the character, who he feels is the true side of Superman, and where he thinks the sequels went wrong. Warner Home Video released a preview clip to MTV.com for the upcoming release of Superman Shazam: The Return of Black Adam. Along with all three previous DC Showcase animated shorts, Superman Shazam features Jerry O'Connell as the voice of Captain Marvel, George Newbern as Superman, Arnold Vosloo as Black Adam, and veteran actor James Garner as the Wizard. In TV news, Jim Bennett has updated our Smallville episode guide with his summary of the most recent Season 10 episode, Harvest, while Douglas Trumbull and Julian Finn have given their reviews for this same episode, with Julian giving it a 2.5 out of 5, while Doug felt pretty much the same, giving it a 3 out of 5. Ambush, the 7th episode of Season 10 of Smallville, airs tonight, Friday, November 5th, at 8 PM on the CW. In this episode, Lois's family drops in for a surprise visit at Thanksgiving, but tensions rise when the General shares his view on superheroes and informs them of his efforts to pass the Vigilante Registration Act. Meanwhile, Rick Flag uses Lucy Lane in his plot to kill her father at the Kent farm. Look for our episode summary and reviews in the days following this episode. TVGuide.com caught up with actress Lindsay Hartley to talk to her about her appearance on Smallville in the role of DC Comics character Mad Harriet. She said, "The special effects department modelled my claws after Freddy Krueger's." The CW released the official spoiler-filled description for Patriot, the 9th episode of Season 10 of Smallville. In this episode, Oliver, in an effort to protect the rest of the team, decides to register for the Vigilante Registration Act to see what the government plans to do with the new law. As he suspected, it was a trap to lure superheroes to an undisclosed location, where he's confined to a jail and subjected to a battery of brutal tests under the supervision of Colonel Slade. Patriot is scheduled to air on Friday, November 19th. CapeWonder.com now features an amazing array of original negative black and white prints that have many fans of the 1950s Adventures of Superman TV series very excited. Many, although not all, are from the 6th season of the TV series. Some of the images are behind-the-scenes photos taken on the set that dedicated fans and collectors have never seen before. Speaking of the Adventures of Superman TV series, Superman homepage reviewer James Lance has reviewed the Season 3 episode The Magic Necklace, in which Jimmy and Lois are involved with a presumed magic necklace wanted by a crook. In comic book news, writer Steve Lyons sat down with ComicBookResources.com to talk about his January 2011 one-shot comic Steel #1 featuring John Henry Irons. In regards to Steel going up against Metallo, he said, "I wanted to put Steel up against the big Superman villain, in part to show that he can and does play in that arena, but also to show how Steel and Superman do actually differ." The 72nd episode of From Crisis to Crisis podcast is now online. Time and time again phases out and an old enemy returns in the Superman books with a May 1991 cover date. Superman comics we reviewed this week included Action Comics 894, which was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who gave it a 1 out of 5, saying, "I can't tell you how much of a letdown this issue was on all possible counts." Neal Bailey reviewed Superman 704, calling it a very well written examination of Lois Lane's life and how she looks at it, and he gave it a 4 out of 5 rating. Superman Earth 1 was reviewed by our team of 3 reviewers. Ralph gave it a 5 out of 5, Neal a 3 out of 5, and Adam a 4 out of 5. Jeffrey Bridges reviewed Supergirl Annual number 2, saying, "I liked the story here, but it was just 3 times longer than it needed to be," and he gave it a 3 out of 5. Time Master's Vanishing Point number 4 was reviewed by James Lance, who gave it a 2 out of 5, saying it is still way too convoluted. While Charlie Niemeyer looked back to December 1971 to review Jimmy Olsen 144, which featured the story A Big Thing in a Deep Scottish Lake. Superman comics and other products shipping this week from November 3rd include Adventure Comics 520, Superboy number 1, which is also available in an alternate cover, Absolute All-Star Superman hardcover, DC Chronicles Superman statue, and DC Dynamics Superman statue. In other news, the Superman homepage Super Trivia quiz has been updated for another month. The 3 questions we're asking you this month are: in the TV series Lois and Clark, Perry White was a fan of which singer? What was the name of the woman Superman teamed up with in the Superman vs. Aliens comic book miniseries? In the Fleischer Superman cartoon titled The Japateurs, what object did the Japanese villain use to burn through a copy of the Daily Planet newspaper on his desk? If you think you know the answer to all 3 questions, come by the site now and submit your entry. Sony Online Entertainment has released episode 9 in their ongoing Inside the Studio question and answer videos about the DC Universe Online MMORPG. This time around, Chris Kao and Jens Anderson answer questions about in-world maps and weapons. They also released another travelogue video showing the Tomorrow district of Metropolis. Last but by no means least, I'm happy to report that Noelle Neal's hip fracture has healed, but she does walk with a noticeable limp. She has, however, developed severe arthritis in both hips, meaning her personal appearance days are now over. Noelle recently took a shine to a life-size fiberglass dairy cow and purchased it to display in her dining room. That's all the Superman news there was for the week October 29th to November 4th. I'm Steve Younis from SupermanHomepage.com.
Well, at the New York Comic Con, which was probably about a month ago now for you guys, it's kind of weird, like in a month I haven't really changed my shirt. Isn't that weird? But anyway, they announced that DC Comics were going to go from $4 down to $3. And it's supposed to be a really big deal, it's supposed to be like, hey, alright, they're listening to the people and they really care, and it's not really working for me. Mostly because I still look at that and I say $3 is, like a meal. $3 is half of a paperback that will take me 30 hours to read. The reason we buy comics is not because of the price point. It's a niche market. The reason we buy comics is because we're hopelessly addicted to characters that we've fallen in love with. You could price the things at $10 and people are still going to be like, where's my crack? Or you could price them at 50 cents and people are going to be like, where's my crack? What you need in order to sell comics is not a price drop, even though people are going to complain about that no matter what the price is. You need good stories with continuity that makes sense, and you need a lot of people paying attention to a given event. If an event's coming about, you need ingenuitive ideas. You need to pay more attention to the characters instead of the artists who are creating them. You need to service those characters, and that hasn't been happening a lot lately. So I haven't really noticed the price drop. Because honestly, I've been dropping books. It's not, the price point sucks. Don't get me wrong. I saw the $4 and I was like, ah. It's like a smoker when he sees the price goes up to $10 a pack. And they're like, ah, but they still need their smokes. Comics are the same thing. But the thing is, I just have been losing more and more comics. I'm actually going to drop mainline Superman books if they keep being late for the first time in my life. I'm basically down to Superman, Action Comics, Supergirl, which I'm dropping when Sterling leaves. I was reading Ex Machina, that's gone. I was reading Star Wars Legacy, that's gone. I've been reading other things. That's not really fair. That's not the entirety of my file. But the bottom line being, there just hasn't been anything new and intriguing pulling me in. And that's not to say that I won't open a book and flip through it in the comic book store. I mean, I literally probably peruse 5 to 10 comics a week looking for something new to read because I'm just bored with the comics I've got for the most part. I go back and I read the old trades and I want new and interesting trades, and there's nothing. it's dead. It's the medium seems to be dying to me, and that's unfortunate. I know that it's boom and bust, and I know it's going to come back, and I have faith in that. But right now, it seems like a really dry, dying time to a degree. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this, but that's how I feel right now.